Possible changes to the food you eat. Today, the FDA met to discuss whether to put a ban on artificial food dye. This comes after years of studies showing the possible link between some additives and cancer, plus other health concerns. So let's start with thing one here tonight. All the chemicals we consume. It'll get your attention when you see the number. Today, there are more than 10,000 chemicals and additives allowed in food in the U.S. that are not allowed in Europe. Recent studies show 60% of foods purchased by Americans contain food additives, including coloring or flavoring agents, preservatives, sweeteners, and other chemicals. And the studies show the number of additives in products has actually been on the rise. 3.7 was the number in 2000. You can see in 2019 that had moved up to 4.5. And while they may be allowed in small amounts, many haven't been evaluated by the FDA in decades.
We're trusting them, and this is the food that is feeding our future. And I want them to be held to a higher standard. Some ingredients, I have no idea what they are, how to pronounce them. I want the best for my children, and I would think that as a society, we want the best for our children.
Seems reasonable. That brings us to thing two, the dangers of all these additives and chemicals. Let's take, for example, here, red dye number 3. It's actually made out of petroleum. It's what gives that bright cherry red color to a lot of foods and candies. It was banned in cosmetics and topical medication since 1990, but guess what? Yeah, you are still allowed to eat it. According to the St. Vincent Medical Center, it's been shown to cause cancer, especially thyroid. There's also a strong connection between red dye and behavioral health issues such as ADHD. Last year, the state of California passed a law to ban red number 3. That law is slated to take effect in 2027.
When I learned that 99% of these chemicals are not being independently reviewed by the FDA, that was my aha moment. They're going to have to change their recipes, get rid of these chemicals, and hopefully that's something that's going to have impacts far beyond our borders here in the state of California.
And that brings us to thing 3 here tonight, what's being done about all of this. Just last year, a bill was introduced to try and crack down on all the additives that are allowed in our food. The legislation would require the FDA to review certain chemicals banned overseas and to close what's known as the GRAS loophole. That's GRAS, generally recognized as safe chemicals. This allows companies to skip an extensive safety review when adding many new chemicals to our food. The FDA tells CBS their scientists keep up to date on food safety research, but that it's also the responsibility of the food industry to make sure the substances they use are safe. The agency is expected to make a decision on red dye number 3 in the next several weeks. We'll keep you updated. Coming up next here on Your Side Tonight.